Hey everyone, before we get started, if you find this explainer valuable, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and maybe even drop a comment below. It really helps us bring more of these to you. Okay, let's get into it.
So today we're looking at a huge study, a really massive one, that gives us a whole new perspective on cancer in our pets. Researchers dug into the records of over 16,000 tumors from both dogs and cats, and their goal? To figure out what really truly increases the risk of a tumor being malignant.
And you know what? What they found is pretty startling. It reveals this incredible difference between dogs and cats, and it points to a core risk factor that, honestly, you probably wouldn't guess.
The single biggest takeaway from this whole study is this giant gap in cancer risk between cats and dogs. Let's actually look at the hard numbers.
The difference is just staggering. So get this. While less than half of all tumors found in dogs turned out to be malignant, cancerous, that number absolutely skyrockets to almost 80% in cats.
To put that a different way, when a tumor is discovered, a cat has a nearly 4 times higher risk of that tumor being malignant compared to a dog. That is a massive difference.
And looking at it this way, on this chart, it just makes the core mystery crystal clear. You can really see that gap. So the big question is, why? Why does this dramatic difference exist? Well, the data gives us some really fascinating clues.
Okay, so to start trying to understand this gap, the researchers first looked at two of the most basic risk factors you can think of, the pet's age and its sex. But hang on, before we go further, just a super quick refresher so we're all on the same page. Malignant basically means cancerous, right? It has the ability to spread. Benign tumors are non-cancerous. They stay put in one place.
Now this probably won't surprise you, but the study confirms that for both cats and dogs, age is a huge factor. The data shows that the risk of a tumor being malignant goes up by about 20% every 3 years of a pet's life.
Okay, but here is where the two paths really start to split. For dogs, it turns out sex does matter. Females have a 19% higher risk of malignancy. But for cats, nope. The data shows no significant difference at all between males and females.
All right, now the investigation gets even more interesting because we're going to look at genetics. Specifically, the role that breed plays in all this.
In dogs, the differences are, they're dramatic. On one side, you have breeds like pit bulls, where over 70% of their tumors were malignant. Boxers are also high risk. But then you look at the other end, and you've got breeds like Shih Tzus and Yorkshire Terriers with a much lower proportion.
But here's that theme we keep seeing again. When it comes to cats, breed just didn't seem to be a factor. The data showed no significant link between a cat's breed and how likely its tumor was to be malignant. Another key difference between the two. So, we've seen these really stark differences in species, in sex, in breed. What's the big takeaway here? What are we supposed to do with all this information? The study really boils it down to 4 key predictors. The biggest one, like we've been saying, is simply the species, whether it's a cat or a dog. But the second most important factor, which we haven't even talked about, is topography. That's a fancy word for where the tumor is located on the body. After that, you've got age, and then, only for dogs, their breed. And look, this isn't just some academic exercise. This research is a seriously powerful tool for what's known as evidence-based veterinary medicine. It helps vets on the front lines identify which animals are high risk and make smarter, data-driven decisions about everything from screening to treatment for our own pets.
And the story doesn't even end there. The authors of the study really emphasize that by understanding these cancers that occur naturally in our pets, we can gain powerful insights into fighting cancer in humans too.
Which, it leaves us with this pretty profound final thought. Could it be that the vast genetic differences between dogs and cats, differences shaped by thousands of years on completely separate paths of domestication, could they actually hold the key to unlocking new frontiers in cancer research for every species, including us?
Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you'd like to support the work we do here, please consider visiting our Buy Me a Coffee page. You can find the link for that down in the description below. We'll see you next time.